The big apartment was too quiet for a little girl. Adesuwa sat on her bedroom floor, carefully lining up the toy cars her father had brought from London last month. She made soft vroom vroom sounds as she pushed them across the marble tiles, pretending they were driving to the market where normal families shopped together. Through the open door, she could hear her father's booming voice downstairs. "I don't care what the problem is, the shipment must leave today," her father yelled into his phone, his angry footsteps pacing the hallway. He was always busy with his oil business, always shouting about ships and trucks and money. Adesuwa pressed her ear against the door, hoping he might come upstairs when the call ended. But then another phone rang, and his loud voice started all over again. In the kitchen, her mother was surrounded by colorful fabric samples and 3 well-dressed women. "The new designs must be ready before the fashion show," her mother said in that firm voice she used when people weren't moving fast enough. The delicious smell of Mama Nkechi's cooking mixed with the sharp scent of her mother's expensive perfume. "Mommy, look what I drew," Adesuwa said, squeezing between the adults to hold up her picture. A family standing together under a rainbow. "Not now, sweetheart," her mother replied, without looking up from the fabric she was examining. She gave Adesuwa a quick pat on the head. "Mommy is working. Show me later, okay?" But Adesuwa knew there wouldn't be a later. There never was. Her nanny, Mama Nkechi, gave her a warm smile that made her feel a little better. "Come now, my little star," she said, wiping Adesuwa's hands with a damp cloth. "Let's get your school uniform ready for tomorrow. And maybe," she lowered her voice to a whisper, "we can sneak some chin-chin cookies before dinner." At breakfast the next morning, Adesuwa sat alone at the huge dining table that could seat 12 people. Her cereal looked very small in the fancy bowl. The big TV on the wall was showing business news, like it always did. Suddenly, her father appeared on the screen in his best suit. "That's Daddy," she said excitedly, to the empty chairs around her. She waved at the TV, hoping somehow he could see her. But the news quickly changed to showing oil prices and stock markets, and Adesuwa went back to pushing her cereal around the bowl. That evening, her parents finally spoke to her, not to ask about her day at school, but about the yellow paper her teacher had sent home. "Adesuwa!" her father said angrily, waving the report card. "How can you be failing maths? Do you know how much we pay for that fancy school of yours?" His face looked scary when he was mad, like thunderclouds before a storm. Her mother sighed and shook her head. "This won't do at all. What will people say if the only child is at the bottom of the class?" She tapped her long nails on the table. "We are hiring you a private tutor, the very best one." 3 days later, Mr. Ez arrived for the first time. He wasn't flashy like her parents' friends, just a simple blue shirt tucked into black trousers, a worn leather bag slung over his shoulder. He was younger than Adesuwa expected, with kind eyes that crinkled when he smiled. "Hello, Adesuwa," he said, kneeling to her eye level. "I'm Mr. Eze. I used to teach at the British International School, but now I help special students like you discover how wonderful math can be." He pulled a shiny red apple from his bag. "They tell me you're very smart, but just need the right teacher. Shall we find out together?" For 2 wonderful weeks, Mr. Eze was different from anyone else in Adesuwa's world. He listened when she talked about her day. He clapped when she got answers right. When she made mistakes, he didn't yell. He just said, "Let's try again," with endless patience. Adesuwa started counting the hours until his next visit, even leaving little drawings on his chair as surprises. But then one rainy Tuesday, everything changed. The house was full of people. The cook in the kitchen, the driver in his room, the security man at the gate. But Adesuwa had never felt more alone in her life. A week later at school, Adesuwa sat frozen in her chair during health class. Teacher Amina was using a doll to show which parts of the body were private. "This is your safety bubble," Teacher Amina said, drawing an invisible circle around the doll. "No one should enter this bubble without permission. Not uncles, not aunties, not even teachers." Adesuwa's stomach twisted into painful knots. The places Teacher Amina pointed to were exactly where Mr. Ez's hands had been during their last lesson. The pencil slipped from her fingers as her whole body went cold. The school bus ride home had never felt so long. Adesuwa pressed her nose against the window, watching other children walk home with their parents. They laughed and held hands, stopping to buy snacks from street vendors. Her chest ached with longing. She prayed silently, "Please let Mama Nkechi be at the gate today. Not him. Please, not him." But as the bus turned onto a street, she saw Mr. Ez waiting by the front door, smiling that big smile that didn't reach his eyes anymore. "Welcome back, superstar," he called out too loudly as she dragged her feet up the driveway. Inside, he had already set up their math books on the table. "Good afternoon, sir," Adesuwa whispered, her voice small. At first, the lesson seemed normal. They practiced multiplication tables, but then Mr. Ez suddenly closed the book with a snap that made Adesuwa jump. "Adesuwa," he said in a strange, soft voice, "you know I care about you, right?" She nodded slowly, her heart pounding like drums during festival time. Adesuwa heard the security guard greeting one of her mother's business friends. Home felt like walking into a lion's den. As the school bus neared their stop, Adesuwa's hands would get sweaty and her heart would race. She started taking the long way home, stopping to watch the roadside sellers fry akara or peel oranges, anything to delay the inevitable. One terrible Thursday, Mr. Ez met her at the door looking extra excited. "Special lesson today," he announced, locking the door behind her with a loud click. "We'll use the sofa instead of the table." That night, Adesuwa lay curled up in her princess bed, silent tears soaking her pillow. The pink satin sheets that usually made her feel like royalty now felt like a trap. Through her half-open window, she could hear Lagos night sounds, car horns, distant music, people laughing, normal sounds for a world that no longer made sense. "I have to tell someone," she thought, chewing her lip until it hurt. But who? Her parents trusted Mr. Ez completely. Just last week, her father had called him the best investment we've made. And her mother was always saying how lucky they were to find such a good teacher. Adesuwa thought about telling Teacher Amina at school, but the words stuck in her throat like too dry swallow. How could she say out loud what Mr. Ez's hands did during their special lessons? The next morning, Adesuwa barely touched her breakfast. Mama Nkechi frowned. "No appetite today, my star?" she asked, feeling Adesuwa's forehead. "You feel warm. Maybe you should stay home." For one wild second, Adesuwa considered pretending to be sick, but then she remembered. No school meant whole day with Mr. Ez. "I'm okay," she whispered, forcing down a bite of toast. On the school bus, her friends chattered about the upcoming sports day. Adesuwa pressed her face against the window, watching the city blur past with each passing street. Her stomach twisted tighter. As the bus turned onto a street, Adesuwa's breath came in short gasps. Maybe today Mr. S wouldn't come. Maybe he was sick. Maybe The gate swung open before the bus even stopped. There he stood, smiling that same friendly smile that once made her feel special. Now it made her skin crawl. "Welcome back, superstar," Mr. S called, holding the door wide. His eyes looked extra shiny today. "I've got a surprise for our lesson." Adesuwa's feet felt glued to the pavement. Good afternoon, sir," she stammered, dragging her school bag like it was full of rocks. Inside, she didn't even pretend to get her books. "Sir, I, I have a headache. Can I please rest today?" Mr. Eze's smile faltered. For a terrifying second, Adesuwa thought he might say no. Then he sighed. "Of course, you've been working so hard." He patted her head, his fingers lingering too long in her hair. "Tomorrow we'll have extra special lessons." "Yes." Adesuwa fled to her room, slamming the door harder than she meant to. Her heart pounded so loud she was sure he could hear it through the walls. Then she saw it. Her mother's gold-plated iPad left charging on the dresser. Mama was always forgetting it. Hands shaking, Adesuwa grabbed her sparkling notebook and a pen. The words poured out like poison from a wound. "Dear Mama and Baba, Mr. S touches me in bad places during lessons. He says there are secrets. I feel scared and dirty. Please make him stop coming. Love, Adesuwa." She stared at the words, her stomach churning. What if they didn't believe her? What if they got mad at her for lying? Then she remembered Teacher Amina's voice. "If something feels wrong, tell a grown-up you trust." Adesuwa folded the note into a tiny square and slipped it into her mother's favorite designer handbag, the one she always checked before going out. That evening, Adesuwa picked at her dinner, watching her parents through her eyelashes. Her father scrolled through emails on his phone while her mother discussed fabric shipments with an assistant. "Adesuwa, eat your vegetables," her mother said absently, reaching for her handbag. "We have that charity gala tonight and, oh, what's this?" Time stopped as Mama unfolded the note. Adesuwa saw the exact moment her mother understood. The frown, then the widening eyes, then the hand flying to her mouth. "Adesuwa, baby." Mama's voice cracked like broken glass. "Is this true?" All Adesuwa could do was nod, hot tears spilling down her cheeks. Her father snatched the note, his face turning dark as storm clouds. "He did what?" His shout made the crystal glasses tremble. For once, both parents were looking right at her, really seeing her. Mama pulled Adesuwa into a hug so tight it hurt. "Why didn't you tell us sooner?" she whispered, her own tears wetting Adesuwa's hair. "I was scared," Adesuwa sobbed into her mother's silk blouse. "You liked him so much." Her father was already dialing his phone, his other hand clutching Adesuwa so tight it almost hurt. "Security?" "Yes." "Mr. Eze, immediately." As her parents shouted orders into their phones, Adesuwa realized something incredible. They believed her, without questions, without doubts. They chose her. Mama knelt before her, wiping both their tears. "No one will ever hurt you again," she promised in a voice Adesuwa had never heard before. "We're so sorry, baby. So sorry." Outside, tires screeched as a car sped away. Adesuwa didn't need to look to know Mr. Ez was gone. The morning after the storm, Adesuwa woke to find her mother sitting at the edge of her bed, something that hadn't happened since she was a toddler. Sunlight streamed through the curtains, painting golden stripes across Mama's tired face. "Good morning, my brave girl," Mama whispered, stroking Adesuwa's hair with a gentleness usually reserved for her most expensive fabrics. "Baba has taken care of everything." Downstairs, Adesuwa's father stood by the floor-to-ceiling windows, phone pressed to his ear. "Yes, the police report has been filed," he said in a voice like iron, "and cancel all his access cards immediately." When he turned and saw Adesuwa, his entire face changed, the hard business expression melting into something fragile and new. For the first time in Adesuwa's memory, her parents stayed home all day. No emergency meetings, no business trips. Mama even turned off her phone. They ate breakfast together at the small kitchen table instead of the grand dining room. Pancakes shaped like hearts that Baba burned, but Adesuwa declared perfect. But healing wasn't instant. That night, Adesuwa bolted upright in bed, screaming from a nightmare where Mr. Eze's hands turned into crawling spiders. Her parents came running, all three ending up in a tangled hug on the floor, their tears mixing together. "We're taking you to see Dr. Kioma tomorrow," Mama said, as dawn painted the sky pink. "She's a special doctor who helps children with big feelings." Adesuwa tensed. "Like a mad person, doctor?" Baba knelt before her. "Like a hero, doctor," he corrected gently. "Even warriors need help after battles." Dr. Kioma's office smelled like lavender and crayons. At first, Adesuwa just stared at the dollhouse in the corner, her arms crossed. But when the kind-eyed doctor brought out clay instead of questions, something loosened in Adesuwa's chest. She sculpted a tiny lion, fierce but with a broken paw. "Strong creatures can get hurt, too," Dr. Kioma observed softly. That's when the dam broke. Over weeks, through play and paint and puppets, Adesuwa's story came out in pieces. The special lessons, the peppermint smell, the way her stomach still twisted when she saw blue shirts like Mr. Eze's. Meanwhile, Lagos high society buzzed with rumors. At the country club, women whispered behind their manicured hands, "Did you hear? The Onis fired that handsome tutor overnight." Mama Nkechi became Adesuwa's shadow, her protective presence warding off prying questions. "Mind your business like you mind your designer handbags," she'd snap at nosy neighbors. One rainy afternoon, Adesuwa found her parents waiting at the school gate together. "Surprise!" Mama held up tickets. "We're going to Disneyland Paris." As the private jet took off, Baba held Adesuwa's hand the entire way. When she got scared during turbulence, he didn't say, "Don't be silly," like before. Instead, he whispered, "I'm here," until her breathing slowed. Standing before Cinderella's castle months later, Adesuwa realized something miraculous. She'd gone a whole week without nightmares. That night in the hotel, she drew a picture of her family with Mickey Mouse ears, writing across the top, "The Oni team." Back home, life found its new rhythm. Mama started leaving work early for Adesuwa time. Baba turned his home office into a joint study space. And every Friday, without fail, they all piled onto the couch for movie night. Even if Baba snored through half the film, the scars didn't disappear. Certain smells still made Adesuwa freeze. Math class required a new grandmotherly tutor. But when she passed a mirror now, she didn't see a victim. She saw a girl who'd been through a storm and found her voice. On her 10th birthday, as fireworks exploded over Lagos Harbor, Adesuwa made a wish, not for toys or trips, but for every silent child to find their courage. And as her parents' laughter wrapped around her like a safety net, she knew something for certain.